What's up guys, Lethal Troy here from Lethal Gaming, and this is the third episode of Troy's Top Kits. And today I wanted to showcase my top kit for the long range assaults. Now normally when I play assault, of course I use the M16, my competitive style setup. But you know, the M16, while it's good at a lot of things, there are other assault weapons that outclass it. And today we're going to be focusing on the best assault rifle for the long range type of setups. Now this is some gameplay of the attacking side on Rush on Epicenter from the Aftermath DLC. Not my favorite in the Aftermath expansion, but it's decent. It certainly showcases how I basically use this type of long range assault setup. Now my main setup for the AN-94 happens to be the Cobra sight, the heavy barrel, and the bipod. Let's talk about the different attachments that I use. I tend to use the old adage of choose a sight that you, as an individual player, are comfortable with. I tend to prefer the American red dot sights and the Cobra sights. Usually for me, the rate of fire of a certain weapon will determine which one I use, either the Cobra or the red dot sight. Now here I'm using the Cobra sight. It works quite well for me on the AN-94. One of the biggest advantages of the AN-94 is its long-range accuracy. If I can squeeze any more long-range accuracy out of it, I'm going to. So that's why I equip the heavy barrel. I think it's basically a must. I'm not using the heavy barrel on this weapon. It's basically really not doing this weapon justice. Now I use the bipod for its underslung attachment instead of a vertical foregrip because of two reasons. I'm using it at long ranges, and its recoil pattern is somewhat unique in terms of its relation to other assault rifles. It has a its horizontal recoil is almost non-existent, so you really don't need the vertical foregrip. Its vertical recoil is actually kind of a resettling recoil, and used in conjunction with the 2-round burst mode, both bullets are, unless you're suppressed, both bullets are going to hit right on top of each other. The other reason I use the bipod instead of the vertical foregrip is I get into these just-in-case situations, if you will, where you come on, usually every map, or at least every other game has it, you have snipers kind of hanging back in these out-of-reach spots that can be kind of a pain. You really don't want to rush them. Maybe you have a lower rate of fire weapon, they actually have the drop on you, they're in a bad spot, that it wouldn't work well for you if you tried to rush them. So I use the bipod, the increased stability with the vertical recoil and the accuracy of the weapon itself, the native accuracy, and of course the added accuracy bonus of the heavy barrel makes the bipod a great choice just for those just-in-case moments. I don't use it a whole lot, but certainly when I come around those moments where you have that sniper that tends to be a pain in the ass sometimes, you know, the bipod's really worth checking out to use as an attachment. Well, we talked about a lot of the big advantages of the weapons. Let's talk about a few of the downsides that this loadout has. Reload speed being the first disadvantage. Its short reload clocks in at 2.45 seconds, and its long reload clocks in at 3.3 seconds. Another thing to note is that the AN-94 shares the same magazine reload animation as the AEK-971, where the player model flicks the spent mag out of the magazine well with the fresh mag being put in, which tends to account for its longer reload. Now, because of its reload speed, it's crucial that you try to keep a few rounds in the mag for every reload that you're going to use, and only have yourself using the short reload. Every millisecond you gain is pretty much an advantage with this setup and this loadout, especially if people are going to try to rush you. You definitely don't want to be spending your time in the long reload animation. Now, one of the other big disadvantages of this setup is the AN-94's hip fire accuracy. Straight up, there pretty much isn't any accuracy to its hip fire at all. It's one of the worst assault rifles when it comes to hip fire. So keeping your distance is really the only way to overcome this. Try not to allow the opponents to rush you with higher rate of fire weapons, faster reload weapons, or you have to take on multiple opponents within 10 meters would be a real pain. So you want to tend to pick off your targets before they have a chance to rush you. Because of those disadvantages and because of its advantages, I want to talk about how I actually use this setup. You can see from the gameplay, I'm holding back a little bit. I'm not rushing in there to arm the bombs or be the first one to take out all the defenders and try to get the bomb plant off. I'm holding back. I support my guys. I throw out health. I get the revives. I'm picking off enemies that are quite far and some that are close. And I believe that's the biggest advantage of using this. That's hence why it's called the long-range assault. You kind of want to hold back a little bit, pick off guys from afar. There are quite a few maps where this loadout works quite well. Epicenter is one. I pretty much think that all the Aftermath maps in the Aftermath DLC work quite well. Strike at Karkand on both Rush and Conquest is another one. I would say Sen Crossing, Karkand maps especially, and the Aftermath maps, because they tend to have kind of a grid layout to the buildings and the streets in relation to the buildings. So you have these very long sight lines that people be running down, and they can pretty much run right into your bullets if you've got the drop on them. If you plan on using these setups, these types of maps, while supporting your other teammates on the front line, so to speak, place yourself in an area or a sight line that you know opponents will have to enter in order to reach objectives that they're trying to gain, will really work wonders for this setup. And this is how I play with this. I wouldn't play this setup the same way I'd play with, say, the M16 or maybe the AEK. It's just not the same setup. So this is pretty much my go-to kit for long-range assault rifles, very long sight lines, pesky snipers that tend to be hard to dislodge from their little sniping spots. But it served me quite well. I have over 3,000 kills with the AN-84 just on the console side. On the PC side, I'm getting up there. I believe we saw I just surpassed 100 in this gameplay. But you know, I'm getting up there. It's been one of my favorite guns in Battlefield 3 so far, and I can see myself using it for quite some time to come. But that's going to be it for this episode of Troy's Top Kits. I hope you enjoy watching the rest of the round. And as thanks always, guys, I really appreciate your support. See ya.
was your first day, man?